different dimensions and sectors together. I think part of the argument is you can't just look at it as a water problem but how do you bring in those multiple benefits? And I think we use the word resilience dividend a lot, which is any intervention the government makes, what are the resilience dividends? And that goes back to, so Chennai is also exploring one more, and to your point, where they're looking at public schools. So they're literally looking at public schools and taking 5 schools and saying, how do we do an urban horticulture program here, which has multiple, again, employment for women, because they're trying to tie it to women who are, underprivileged and can come and work there. It is softening the urban fabric because there's a link to water percolation, and it's the greening part of it. So,
with your permission, sir,
please.
I would like to add that when we are talking of water,
Yeah.
Don't forget that in India, 90% of the rivers originate from the forested catchment.
Yeah.
And the health of the catchment decides the quality and quantity of water.
Yeah.
So where the water is important, or the catchment or land use is important.
I'm reminding again, my name is Sarabjit. I'm an architect, urban planner, working with UN. I want to plant one idea, scaling down to scale up. And I think just awareness is not enough. We need intelligence, we need information, knowledge, understanding for people to voice their concern and to take action. Now, unless we get into this cycle of action at a broader level, I think it's not going to solve. So I think scaling down strategies in terms of social behavior change communication, or doing programmatic shifts within the water sector, or the urban governance, or whatever. So we got to account for what programmatic shifts we are making in health sector, in water sector, in whatever, education, etc., etc. I think that accounting hasn't started. We are measuring climate change. We are not measuring the action. And I think that those are some of the thoughts maybe.
So we have your comment.
Yeah.
And then we
Okay. I'll start with something totally different. Around 3 years back, we wrote a small story called Gadbad Ganj. I think she has read it. Okay, it became a book ultimately. Okay, I was trying to get it, but I could not get soft copy. I can distribute. So he talked about, and I circulated it to something like 20 cities, and everybody said, "This is the story of my city." Okay, we basically were looking into how the systems fail. Okay, what is today's problem of air pollution or water problem or anything like that? It is basically urban metabolism failures. Simple, your metabolism, either you are eating too much, flood is no excess problem or the shortage problem. And we have seasonally both the problems. Okay, almost every city. Groundwater shortage in the summer, water shortage in the summer, and rainy season you have the floods. So actually, we are not seeing, our whole vision looks into only that today. We are not even looking into 1 year. So around 10 years back, we had done a graph. Okay, so it put orchard owners, tropical farmers, tropical normal Kerala type of farmer, and semi-arid farmers, IAS officers, and something like that. Okay, Indian politicians. So their time frame, we are looking into decision-making time frame. We found that a semi-arid farmer has the largest thinking time, because he has to think about one cycle of drought. So he has to keep a storage of grains in his house, and he will think, another 4 years of food may not be there. So that is the thing. And an IAS officer is basically around 3 years. Unfortunately, despite our whatever 4th Amendment and all those things, it is still controlled by the people who are coming with that 3-year vision. Okay? And how do you plan for longer periods? You can't plan, because these are the people who are giving the idea. Okay? So even unless, as you said, no citizens and think tanks and all, no, actually take up much roles, then how do we tell the stories? Biggest problem with us is, we are unable to communicate. We write beautiful papers, all those things, but it is not going in a form which, like a story of Gadbadganj, like that 100 stories we require to communicate. And also we will require narratives like air pollution maps on a daily basis. Okay. So across city, see, Delhi has got some 12 or 14 stations or something, and Safar is doing something. We require 1,000 stations or 500 stations which actually give you every day in the newspaper and TV, you should see the air pollution map, and I should start connecting it with my area. That sort of information is not there. Who is giving that? There is nothing. There is no air pollution map for a whole city, which shows, say, Karol Bagh and Sandamother place. How is this thing? That is not there. Same thing, we should also have the disease maps. Okay. Dengue, where all it's attacking. Dengue, if there is a dengue occurring here within 2 kilometers, you are likely to get much more, your possibility of getting the disease is much higher. So these sort of things, information, continuous information availability to the people and actually it hits them on a daily basis is required. Unless we do that, then the whole awareness building or information or nothing will happen. Okay, and the third thing I was talking about, that's what Sendai framework says, risk information should be universal risk, availability of risk information. Are we no, unless we start creating that up, that's where the think tanks, universities and rest of the people come in, civil society comes in. Unfortunately, that role, we are also stuck in this all academic journals. We are not going down to the people, and we are not able to tell good narratives. We are not good communicators. So we require more and more methods of reaching them up. That is what I would stress for. Without that, nothing happens. And as Indiresh had written, Vision 2020 or something, he had written one very. There is a whole thing called Vision 2020 written. Indresh has gone long back. He said, unless the rich get a surplus, poor get nothing. Okay. That was the starting point. So the same way, unless the rich get affected, the change will not happen. Whether air pollution or the water or anything like that, as long as they can protect themselves, nothing else will go. That's, I think, that we have to think much more about it based on this, the whole narrative, all those things have to be put around that way. Okay, thank you.
Great, that's
Yeah.
We have around 26 stations in Delhi.
Yeah.
And furthermore in NCR region. And there is a map coming in the newspaper with poor, average and index for air pollution
That's
every day in the newspaper. The thing is that all policies are there in place, but enforcement is not taking place. So we have to work on that. And as far as air pollution is concerned, when we talk only of 2.5 and 10 levels, barring the toxicants, there are other toxicants attached to these particles, a lot of contribution is through infrastructure.
Yeah.
Roads and pavements are not concrete as it is in other countries. So no matter, this urban city and planning plays an important role in that, and government has to intervene. I think having odd and even and many other things, stopping construction for 3 days will not help. We have to make our infrastructure as per international standards to fight with this pollution problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think now we are standing between lunch and so we won't take too long. But I did want to. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I wanted to invite Amit, since to take a couple of moments to just summarize for us what you took away, and if you could share anything you'd like to about the programs going forward that would help us raise new questions. That'll be great. Anything that you'd like to share as a way to, anyway, I mean,
I'll keep it
this is fine. Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to keep it informal. I was actually here on Chutti, but I got a call and said, "What can you come and attend?" And I think it's really been very, very helpful. I think Rockefeller has been trying to, and I'm not going to represent Rockefeller, I'm here to represent 100RC, which is a program of Rockefeller Foundation. But, Rockefeller Foundation has a history of looking at this topic for a long time. And I think the latest initiative, which is 100RC, essentially has been building up upon all of the different experiences. And the whole thing right now is about system change at the city level. Because it's starting to get away from one particular narrow intervention to a system citywide intervention. So I think what we're hearing today is echoing with that. I mean, slums or the scale, all of these are part of the city system. How do we look at the problem or problems, right? But I did want to just highlight 3 points that seems to have resonated today, and then I won't stop you from lunch. Sorry, just give me 1 second to find my notes. I was trying to take down a lot of notes. So I think the first point, and ma'am, you started this in the morning itself, is, and I would argue as well, is we have to look at climate change locally, but also as part of the city's development priorities. We can't be looking at it separately. I mean, I think that argument cannot be made because nobody in the decision-making space has got the time to think about new ideas. I mean, I think as long as we can try to mainstream in their current thinking around their development pathway, and in that context highlight the risks and figure out where are the interventions to bring about a better response. And I think the Kochi case actually helped to highlight that as well, because if you've got a transportation system, you've got a stress that is related to mobility, and you can build a transportation system using the waterways, you have the potential at least to reclaim the waterways and maybe then give them an additional benefit, or using them to provide an additional benefit that mitigates climate risk. So how do you do that? And I think that's where if people can, so that's one aspect. And I think Chennai, we're trying to do that. So maybe there may be examples. The strategy will be ready in 6 months. There's a lot of things going on, which hopefully we can highlight and keep an eye out for. There may be something there. I mean, another example from Chennai is that through the Smart City mission, there is an ambition to restore lakes. But it's, we know how that ambition can be. And so what we are trying to do is raise awareness of what is good lake restoration look like. So again, building on the Smart City ambition to clean up the lake, I mean, right now it's the bare minimum of cleaning it up, putting a boundary wall. And we are trying to give them a little bit more. This goes to capacity building, this goes to better information, this goes to how do you use nature-based solutions. So a lot of different things, but tying it back to the existing ambition and existing program. Second point I already mentioned briefly, but it's really we have to push for innovation and integration. And how do we do that will vary from city to city. Sometimes it's taking the commissioner out, like we took the Surat commissioner to Rotterdam to show him that the room for the river, or different ways the river has been revitalized, and helping him understand what could potentially be done. We bring people to Singapore to show them some examples. So again, I mean, I think that's where the network is very important, is how are cities able to learn from each other, and how do you promote innovation? And that's where the Waterways leverage as an example, and there are others we are trying as well. So innovation and then integration. I mean, I think to your point, I mean, I think you can't build everybody's capacity to understand everything. Yeah. So even the urban planners, I don't think everybody will be able to understand all aspects of it. But there was a long time ago, I remember somebody had said, the urban planner is actually a facilitator. End of the day, the urban planner works with the engineer, the economist, the policymaker, the politician, the civic. And if you can be a good facilitator, I mean, I think that's the skill we should be pushing for, not necessarily for everybody to become the domain expert. Yeah. Because, and I've had personal experience in that space where working with a hydrologist and an ecologist in a wetlands park in China, where they're right by the river, and the hydrologist doesn't use flood mitigation that the wetland could provide in his calculation. So, and to be able to have those conversations, I think that's where the urban planner can actually be best, as a facilitator. And that's where the integration comes in. I think we can be integrators because that's what our domain is teaching us. That's what our expertise is in. And then better connection between government and non-governmental entities in the city, because this is not a problem that can be solved by government, clearly. But how do you do that? What kind of processes can be put in place? How do you understand that each party has a certain ambition, and how do you recognize that ambition and yet, in a way, allow the ambition to happen, but yet in a way which is reducing the risk from climate change? So I think in my mind, those are the three things, linking to local challenges and priorities, promoting innovation and integrated solutions, and then better connection between government and other stakeholders. I'll stop there. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. It's been a full and rich morning. We've run late and we apologize for that, but I am really grateful to everybody for coming here. Thank you very much. Your energy really helped us keep this as an engaged conversation. Thank you. I also then want to thank our panelists for a wonderful discussion, for coming here, for taking the time, and Dr. Ahluwalia for being a support and being a cheerleader for us on this project from the very beginning. You were really, the advisor, the mentor on the project, if you remember, and it's been great. Thanks so much. Thank you for coming today. And then I want to thank our research team, which worked for many years and now is partly dispersed, but did a fabulous job, as everybody saw. And so, Amrita, Saon, Indro, Sandeep, Utkarsh, and a few that are not here, Zeba, Aziz, and others, we want to thank you very much. We will have our papers on our website and the presentations as well, and we'll add more as we go along. And then finally, I want to thank the team that put this together, Mr. Manmeet's team. It's a wonderful team that doesn't let us even realize how much work goes into it. And so I want to thank Rajkumar and Krishan, Neha, Chayaji, Sharad, Rajesh, Jeet, and Sandeep for coordinating all of this. Thank you very much. And now we can move to have lunch. Thank you so much. It was so wonderful. I mean, I think this is the start of a conversation.